Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, we can't deny it, Christmas is coming rather quickly, probably much quicker than we all had anticipated, but I think we can get ahead of the game now by making our own advent calendar, and this is what I've done for you today. This is a box tree advent calendar. Now, how I came across this was by just doing a search for advent calendars. I was just looking for some kind of inspiration, and I saw an advert from Harrods for something very much like this, and I decided I would recreate it myself using just cardstock and paper. Now, the one that I'll have a clip of, the one from Harrods is made of a coated type of cardboard, and it's slightly larger than this one here. This one measures approximately 12, around 13.5 by, at the widest point, 11.75, thereabouts. Now, the one from Harrods does come at a price, of course, £35 for their version, and you are going to be able to recreate yours for just, I hope, a fraction of that, although it will be an investment in your time. But I think you'll enjoy the results, and it's something that you can use year after year after year. To make this box tree advent calendar, stick with me and I'll show you how. I've cut out all the cardstock for this advent calendar, as well as the numbers for the calendar, which I've die cut, and then these little squares, which are going to be the decoration for the individual boxes. As you can see, it's quite a lot of card, but this is the sort of project that once you've made it, you don't really need to make it year after year after year, so that initial investment can last you quite a long time. It's very robust, and if you want to prolong the life of this calendar even more, then coat it in Mod Podge after you've completed each of the boxes, and you will see that it will last you quite a long time, as well as strengthen it. Now, for the drawers or the boxes themselves, this is craft card, and it has a different color on each side, so I'm going to be using this side, and this is what I'm going to make for the little drawers, and these measure 7.5 by 5.25. For the case, which will hold the boxes, I'm using this. This is about, I think this is 300 GSM, and it is cut at 8 by 5 5/8. So you need, of these, 23 each. For the 24th box, it's a different size. So that is a piece of the same craft card, cut at 8 3/4 by 7 inches, and for the case, 7.5 by 9 3/8. So what I'm going to do is take you through how to score and cut the drawers and the case for them. I'll also go over the number 24 box, which is, as I said, the larger piece here. And then off camera, I'll go ahead and put all my other pieces together, and then we'll come back and assemble it. With the drawer. For this, place it in your scoreboard, and on the 7.5 inch side, score it at 1 3/4, at 3.5, at 5 1/4, and at 7 inches. So that gives us this 1/2 inch tab here. If you want a smaller tab, you can just adjust that by cutting it off at maybe 1/4 inch or 3/4, but I've just gone with the 1/2 inch. Then turn it over to the 5 1/4 side and score at 1 3/4. That's the size of this cube, and 3.5. So you have this grid now. And we're going to fold and burnish all these score lines. Then we'll start cutting it for the assembly. And this is intended to be a reinforced box. Now, you saw in the photograph of the advent calendar from Harrods, they have actually used a type of cardboard that you see a lot in these little storage boxes. But this really is going to be nearly as strong as those when I'm finished with this. And again, as I said, if you use Mod Podge, it'll be even stronger. So, we've got that all ready to cut. So, we've got our tab here, and I just keep mine over to the right here. And I want to cut off this rectangle and this one, and then form a tab here. What I'll do is, because I want to angle it also, I'll just go in and angle it like that, and then I can go to the other side, and I also can form a little wedge there. So that takes care of that little wedge for the tab and for the side tab at the same time. But you could do them individually, that's fine. So this is where we are so far. Now, we want to cut up each of these score lines on both sides. And we want to form tabs so that they will not be, not get caught up. So, an easy way to do this is to make your angle cut, just past that score line, and then do the same on the other side. And we've got the one on the end as well. And there are our tabs on one side. Now we want to do the same on this side. So just go in and take a little wedge out there and there. And finally, we have this one. So once you've finished cutting, it should look like this. Now to assemble, we're going to place glue on this tab here and it's going to go under here. And the best way to do that is actually just to put it flat like that. But I want to do something else first before I start gluing that. This second tab here is where my little notch is going to go, and I've already got one made up to show you, like this. So what I want to do, because I'm going to have to try to get through several layers, I'm going to actually reduce the size of this tab. You don't have to. You can just leave it as is. You might have a more robust punch than I do. But I'm just going to leave about maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch there. Don't have to be precise. And take that off. And then I can go back in and make that tab. Also, I want to go ahead and decorate now before I assemble this so that I can get my circle punch in here. So I'm going to choose my piece, and I think I'll use that there. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually fold these in, and they're going to reinforce all your little the sides of your box, okay? But what I want to do first with this one is place my decoration on. Now this is cut at 1.5 by 1.5, because each side of this box is 1 3/4. So just place that on there. Straighten that up. And then I'll be able to go in with my punch. So what I have is just this little punch here, and it has a limitation on how many layers it can go through. So I want to actually limit that just a little bit if I can. And then that also keeps this from interfering with all this down here. So I'm going to go in here and just fold those back. Just come down about halfway. On that, you can see there how much I've got left in there, and then I'm just going to give it some welly. And there is our piece. As you can see, it's just left this little bit here. You could have, of course, gone ahead and glued that down first, but it really doesn't matter. But you're still getting that reinforcement along the top there. And now I'm going to apply my adhesive to these tabs. Now you could use double-sided tape, you could use your red liner tape, you could use even hot glue if you wanted to. I'm going to place those down, and I'm actually going to probably wait on that one just for a moment. As I said, glue tab is going to go here like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait to place this down, only because I can trap this then inside. Give that a chance to take hold. Open this back up again. Take my tab, and then I'll be actually covering that. Oops, it's come loose again. But also you have that to the back. Remember, you want that tab to the back if you can do that. That's why my decoration is on this side, because I've got that little tab there. Now I can just go in and reapply this glue. And then fold this down inside. And it will cover that tab as well. Need to, there we are, and go back in and burnish that score line again, and that tab is completely hidden now. I think that could have used a little more cutting on that tab. So I've got time. I'm just going to take some more out of that piece. And then I can put my piece back in. Yes, that's better. There's less bulk there. Now for the bottom, we have these 4 pieces. Now what we want to do is not do that where the join is, or the end of that tab is to the front. We want to have this tab here, which is on the same side as our decoration. Have that be the last one that we put in. So you can start with placing this one from the back in, put your glue on, or your tape if you so prefer, and then just fold over those pieces, and then finally you have your flap here, and that is going to be on the bottom. You can just come in with your bone folder or a ruler or a pair of scissors, anything just to give that a bit of pressure. And that is your first box complete. Now all you have to do is make 22 more of these boxes, and then you'll make a larger one for your number 24. It's actually going to be just double the size of this one. For the casing, which I said is 8 by 5 5/8. Starting on the long side, the 8-inch side, score this at 1 7/8 because this has been measured out so that you have that little bit of room for your drawer to slide inside of the casing. So it can't be the exact same size as the box, which is 1 3/4. So we've made it 1/8 of an inch larger. So 1 7/8 is where our first score line is. So our second is 3 3/4. 5 5/8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 7.5 inches. So we've got that 1/2 inch at the end here. Turn it to the 5 5/8 inch side and score again at 1 7/8 at 3 3/4. And that's your grid complete. This is done in much the same way as we did the drawer. So we want to be sure that we've folded and burnished it. And then we can just form an angled tab here. And then we can continue on down each of these score lines, going up to that first score line. And then apply your adhesive to this tab here, and then simply fold that other side down, give it some pressure and a little time to dry as well. And you'll notice I haven't cut any of those tabs any shorter, because it doesn't matter with this, because this is just going to be a cube with no notches or anything like that. It's just as easy to assemble it. Well, you could actually have gone ahead and put those sides in, but you don't need to. You can do it just like this. So seems all right. Let's put the bottom together first. So again, come in with the flap at the back, and then each of the sides, and then there is the front of your box here. Then these are just going to get folded in like so to form your cube. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these down, and then we'll place our completed box drawer inside. Grab the little box and then just place it inside of our cube like that. And that is the first of the 24 boxes complete. Now, speaking of number 24, these are going to be assembled a little differently, and it's just my way of assembling them. If you have a different way, you can do that, no problem. I'll start with the drawer, and as I said, it's 8 3/4 by 7 inches. Now, on the 8 1 3/4 inside. I want to score at 1 3/4, at 3 1/2, at 5 1/4, and at 7 inches. You see, it looks a little different than our other. So we have these 5 panels rather than just the 4. Then turn it over to the short side, the 7-inch side, and score at 1 3/4, and at 5 1/4, because that will be that double of the box. Okay. Now for this, I'm just going to go in here and rub that out. Again, fold and burnish this. And as I said, I just came up with my own way of making this. I'm sure there are probably better ways, but I think I'm happy with how I decided to make this. So I eliminated the tabs in this case, as you can see. And I'll show you how I'm going to compensate for that. Give this a little more burnishing. Bring in my prototype I made, and it will be like this. So you're going to remove these squares here, and here I'm going to take off a portion of that, just like I did with the other, so that I can get my punch in there. And then we'll be cutting up this score line and this score line. And I'm going to leave that one intact. So let's mirror it on the other side. So first of all, let's take these squares off. As you can see, we have that, and now we're going to come up these 2 score lines, free that tab up, and then I can go in and trim this down. That's going to get glued like that, and that's going to get glued like that, and that will be our reinforcement. We need to now also cut these. So that one, and then leave the next one intact. Same on the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue this. You can see you can have this glued down before you actually punch and decorate. We'll decorate first and then punch. And we can come in with the, we need the piece first. Now, this is, remember we said the others were the 1.5 by 1.5, so this is 1.5 by 3 1/4. So that is going to be for our pull on the front of the box. Just make sure you have it going in the right direction. This is the back here. This is the front. Put this down. If you didn't want to make holes or those little pull tabs, what you could do is you could instead punch a hole instead of the little tab, and then take either a piece of ribbon or string or something like that and make a little pull tab. That would be nice as well. So we've got that in place, and we should be able to get in here fairly easily with our punch. There we are. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, really. And now we can put the rest of it together. So I'm going to glue this in. This is my back reinforcement. That's stuck down. Going to assemble the rest of this is to take these sides and fold them in like this, and then fold over that flap there. And that's how I'm going to do that. So again, we've got this flap here. We'll put this one across it. And this one is going to come up. And you can neaten off the sides if you like with more cardstock. If you wanted to cover this, you can do that as well. And then this is going to come over the top and reinforce that side. And then do exactly the same on the other side. And you can, as I said, just decorate your ends as well, like that, or even make it a little bit larger if you like. I'm just going to leave mine as they are right now. You can also decorate the inside if you wanted to put some decorative paper, perhaps in the bottom or even up the sides. It's all up to you. Now, it's time to make the casing. And again, this is done a little differently than with the cubes. And as I said, this is 7.5 by 9 3/8. Just going to rub that out. For the scoring, long side on a 9 3/8 inch side, scored at 1 7/8. At 3 3/4, at 5 5/8, so that's 1 2 3 4 5, and at 7.5. And again, you have those 5 panels. So turn it to the other side, and to the short side, the 7.5 inch. And score it at 1 7/8. At 5 5/8. And then you have your final 1 7/8 already formed for you. So let's cut this one now. Bring in my prototype for this one. As you can see, we're going to remove these 2 squares here. We'll cut up this score line, this one, this one, this one, and then the 2 at the end. Very much like we did with the actual drawer, except again, we're not going to reduce this tab. It will just come fold in like that. So let's start by removing these squares. Cut that tab as well. We'll bypass that one. And we'll come here, and finally there. If I bring in my prototype, you see it's a match. So you should have something that looks like this now. And you start with the reinforcements, which are these 2 here. And start assembling this just as we did before. These sides are going to come in like that. So we can place our glue on these tabs. Back one. I'll place adhesive here on this piece and fold that inside. So that has dried. Now we can just drop in our little drawer, and then the last thing to do will be to put the numbers on. So we've got these, which I've die cut. Just going to place a little bit of adhesive on them and then just fix them to the front of the cube. Those are the first two boxes completed and decorated. And now for the rest, I will be back. I am back with all of the boxes now assembled, decorated, including putting the numbers on the boxes and lining the bottom with matching paper that's on the front of each of the boxes. It's been a day and a half since I first filmed this project, and on that first evening, I continued to do the rest of the scoring, the folding, and the cutting. And then the next day, I continued on doing all the assembly and the decoration. But when I went to film this part, I found that my camera battery was completely flat. And there was some sort of issue with the data cable, so it took many hours for me to finally get it to cooperate enough that I could get it recharged. So I've got fingers crossed that I'm not going to run into the same problem when I get ready to download the rest of this footage. I have all these, as I said, assembled, and you'll see that I have decided, rather than to number them 1 through 24 like you see in the Harrods version, I'm going to actually mix them around. So I have myself a little sketch I worked out where I wanted the boxes to be, and I'm going to follow that to assemble it. Now to assemble this, I've decided to put it onto another piece of cardstock, and what I've done is taken this A3 sheet and doubled it up. So I've just glued two of these together to make it a little more sturdy. And I'm going to place my boxes on here. And I'll be gluing them together and to the actual sheet. At first I was going to hot glue them, but I decided instead to just go with my liquid glue, my cloud glue, because for one thing, I know that is going to dry rock hard when it's finished, and the other is that it does give me that wiggle room to play with the placement. What I'm going to do, I'll show you here on this piece. We'll have number 1 at the top, and that is here. So as I figure this out, it's just going to fit in all of the boxes. So we'll have this one at the top, and then at the bottom we're going to have 3, the 24, number 16, which is here, and number 8. And those are going to be at the bottom, and then all the others will be in between. So I'm going to start at the top with box number 1, and I'm going to find the center point of this. So let's bring in our ruler, and this should be 11 3/4. 5 3/8, so 1, 2, 3/8, and box number 1 is going to go there. So I'm just going to position it like that. Let's see if I can move this over a bit. See, a little better. So I've got that in the middle, and I'm just going to glue it down right there. So what I'm going to do is, I've got this little dish here, and I'm going to take some of this glue and put it in the dish, and I'm going to use my little glue brush to apply it. Start with this one, and then we'll be working down in rows from 1, and then the next will be 2 boxes across. As I said, I've got my little sketch here I'm going to follow. You can actually take these out. That way we can get in here with our bone folder. Or press that into place. So there's our first one. Now come numbers 17 and 5. I've got 17 here, and I've got 5. And they are going to go here like that. First, I'm going to actually glue them together on one side here. I can get all the way out to those edges really easily with this brush, and then I'm going to put them together. And I'll give those a moment to dry. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just move on with the others so that those have a chance to dry. So I've got 3 more. I've got number 7, number 19, and number 13. Something else I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these ends here with whatever color is for the actual box, and I'll do that probably now. I'll go back up here to number 1. Just set these aside a moment, and the first box is this. So I'll go ahead and just place that in there, and then I'll take a piece of this same paper and put it on the end. Now this is cut at 1 3/4, which makes it just about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the actual cube, which is good. I'm going to place that down next. So there'll be one on either side. So one on that side. Turn this around. And one on this side. Put the others on before I actually attach them to this, because it'll make that a lot easier to do. So, using my guide, next is 17 and 5. So those are going to go in here. And this is front, because I want that smooth side here on the front. So this will be together just a little bit more. Glue in there. So 17 and 5. So this is 17, and number 5 is this. I should have that one for that side, and this for this side here. So cut a little strip of this craft card, which I'm just going to place on the bottom of the tree. There is our Advent calendar in the form of a box Christmas tree, completed. Still has a little bit of drying to do, but like I said, once that is well and truly dry, it's going to be very, very strong. And as you see, it does stand up, or you could even put maybe a hook on the back and hang it, and then you have all your little boxes ready to be filled with all sorts of goodies. And this is not a quick project. It does require quite a bit of cardstock, but it's not particularly hard to do, and you too could have something that looks as good as Harrod's box tree advent calendar. Maybe not worth £35, but to you it might indeed be priceless. Thank you everyone for coming today and watching the construction of this advent calendar. I think I'll have this on my mantelpiece this Christmas, and I hope you're going to do the same. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so today, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you again for coming and for supporting me. I do appreciate each and every view. In the meantime, please stay safe and crafty hugs. Bye.